with that.
All right, we are recording. What's going on, everybody? It's episode 9. We got Dan Crosby, the Lambo Lapdog, here by popular goddamn demand. I don't know how many of these people you're paying me to fucking get you here today, but
Is that right? People requesting it or what?
yeah, straight up. I've done a couple polls. I'm like, who else can I get on this show? Because it's a fun topic, but
Yeah.
the problem is when you create a podcast called Mic'd Up Millionaires, you set yourself up for failure because number one, not everybody can be your guest or should be, and then number two, the other challenge is goddamn scheduling one of these things because we're always jammed up. Like I've got 3 businesses on the go currently, and I'm sure you've just got all sorts of free time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's good. So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, man? I know we met the one time at a Cash Flow Tribe event. You sort of told a story about your first condos you bought and some sort of how you got to be the Lambo Lapdog. And I'd love to get into that as well. Takes a special person to not buy one Lambo, but buy few or whatever, right? So, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, back in the, Dave, you want to shut that door real quick? Yeah. Might as well, so we don't bother anybody. I'm in my office, so we got people here. But so back in like it was probably around 2007, 2008 era, kind of, maybe 2007, a little bit before the crash. I was still kind of in school. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was pretty good in school when I was growing up. I just had a really hard time with like I guess authority, and even in playing sports and stuff like that, I ended up developing, I played, pretty serious hockey, and I ended up developing like a really bad attitude where I would just kind of like go out there, and even though I was skilled, I just go out and like fight everybody. So it ended up becoming like a thing with, I don't know if it was authority or following rules or whatever. I had a hard time doing it. And when I got to school, even though I was like good in school, I would get good grades. I wouldn't go to class, and I ended up flunking out. I barely made it through high school, really, because I'd missed so much schooling. And then I ended up getting to like post-secondary, and I ended up trying all kinds of classes. I ended up trying engineering, and then I was always really good with numbers and stuff like that. So I ended up trying like engineering, and then electrical engineering, and then accounting, and then finance, and then business management. And after business management, I was like, fuck this isn't for me. And I ended up just dropping out, and I ended up starting a supplement store locally here in Windsor. The reason why I actually started the supplement store because my first endeavor was a website called True Supplements, and it didn't work out. I shouldn't say it didn't work out, but it was like super slow, wasn't really working out. And I knew a lot of people around town that were packed into the gyms like I was at the time. And I had a feeling that if I could put out a good product, even before that, I ended up starting a brand and manufacturing. While I was in school, I would like pack like ingredients in my kitchen because people were like, oh my God, like the protein around here is shit. It sucks. So I ended up packing like and almost like formulating stuff in my kitchen, my basement, stuff like that. And I ended up selling that stuff at a local gym that my buddy owned at the time. And it was doing really well. And this is when I was going through school and kind of like right on the brink of dropping out. So then I ended up trying to start a website, and that's when the website wasn't doing all that well. And then I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? And then at that point, I knew a lot of people around town just from being in the gyms. And I ended up starting a store. The store was doing actually pretty well. And I ended up starting... I ended up starting, I'm trying to go back like so long ago. I ended up starting when I was in the store. I knew the owner through obviously coming in, collecting rent, stuff like that. So it was like the owner of the plaza where I was running my store out of. And at this point, like I mentioned, the website wasn't doing all that well. The store was actually doing decent because of the clout that I had around town. And I always wanted to get into real estate. like significantly. That was like my first thing. I just didn't know really how to do it. And then, you know, I always saw this guy coming in who owned the plaza. You know, he'd always come and collect rent, whatever. And I ended up asking around town about him, and he was a fairly big landlord at the time. He owned something like 300 doors or whatever, not just like shit doors, but like pretty good doors. And he, one time he came in to collect rent, and he's like, "Hey Dan, where's your rent?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got it here for you, but I'm not going to give it to you until you sit down with me and talk real estate, give me some advice." And he's like, "Okay Dan, where's the rent?" And I said, "Listen man, like I'm not giving you the rent. Like you can try to come and get it, but you're not going to get it." And I was like, "You're going to sit down with me for an hour, give me an hour of your time, and I'll gladly pay your rent." And then this went on for like a couple of weeks. He come back and he started getting a little bit kind of, "Come on man, you got to pay and you got to pay." And I said, "Listen Marco, like I got your rent, but you need to sit down with me for me to give you the check." And another month comes by, he comes in, and I'm like, "Listen, you got to sit down." So I did that for like 3 months until he actually sat down with me, and I brought the checks. We sat down at Tim Hortons, and yeah, we just talked real estate, and I ended up buying my first package of real estate off him. It was 14 condos on the Detroit River, and I got them for like pennies. Like I remember buying a couple of them for like 20 grand.
Oh man.
Other ones for like 50 grand. And we're talking like, like pretty good condos. Like they're front and center. If you guys look at like the Detroit skyline, you see the Renaissance Center, they're like right across from the Renaissance Center. So that was like my first package deal. And that was 14. I bought another one probably about, I don't know, maybe 2 months later, because it came up for like 23 grand, something like that. So I scooped that one up real quick. And then I ended up rehabbing so I ended up getting the money just because I ended up saving up as much money as like humanly possible through just working. At one point I had like 3 jobs. I was working at GM, working at a restaurant, like cleaning dishes and shit, and then even a produce section in like Zehrs or whatever. I was hauling like produce all over the place in the back, and still working TPT at GM because I was like still technically in school at that point. And so I ended up saving the down payment for that, and I think it was like 25%, something like that, 25% for the condo package. And
this is just a big commercial product. Like you just
it was like 14 individual condos.
But I mean, the actual financing product you used, you just went out.
I went in. That when I did it, there was no limit on residential with the banks. With this particular bank. So I ended up doing 14 residential mortgages, which still kind of a pain in the ass today when I go to get like financing for stuff. But
yeah, you still hold these then?
I do.
How old are you at this point when you buy?
I still have 8 of them. What's that?
Oh, that's awesome. How old are you at this point when you buy these?
I was like maybe 24, something like that.
School. So that's a pretty bold move, right? So did you sort of?
So at that point, I was not in school anymore. So I pretty much, I'm pretty sure I dropped out by then. I was working at the store. At that point, I was working at the store all day. So I go in at around 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd leave at 8. And then for another, say from like 8 till, I don't even know, 4 a.m., something like that in the morning every day, I'd like make the product. And then for the next day to sell it. So that's what I would do. So I did that for probably about a year or two. And then during the time of owning the properties, I ended up bringing someone else in to help me run just the packaging of the products that I was selling. And I hired that guy while I would go into the condos that came up for rent, and I would go in and rehab them myself. So I did all the rehab, and when I finished a few of them, a good amount of them, I ended up refinancing, and then I pulled money out of the condos to buy equipment to manufacture my own product, at the scale for the nutritional company. And ended up getting into a lease with a small, like 2,000 square foot area, and bought some equipment like a blender, packaging, small cap machines, stuff like that. And that's what I did with the money. And I continued to just roll it back in, roll it back in, roll it back in. And I lived like wildly frugal when I did that. I closed the store. I actually ended up selling the store off because I knew the store couldn't scale.
Right.
And then,
so then you
going through this
commerce there.
What's that?
And then you move right to e-commerce, but you keep your 2,000 square foot. Nice.
Well, I got the square footage to like manufacture, right? Like not to sell anything out of it. I was just doing commerce and sending stuff in the mail, whatever. And I ended up getting the equipment to scale it, and it grew immensely at that point in time, and it was just a good product. I was actually in the beginning, I couldn't manufacture all of the product that I had demand for. So I ended up hiring a company in the States to do it. Then I would get all the product into my warehouse there, and I would put the finishing touches on it, like labels, and box it up and then send it. Then that went to shit because the quality in the States is fucked. And then I ended up getting a company out of Quebec to do it, and that was shit. So then I was like, fuck this, I'm going to just start making it. And that's when I ended up actually getting like the blender and the packaging equipment and stuff like that. And at that point, that's when I was making it. In the beginning, I was actually having it made, sent to the warehouse, and then sending it out. So, and it was doing great, And then I was like, oh man, fuck, like what happens if this doesn't work out? I have no fallback. I have no, I have no education. I have nothing else, so I'm going to, I've always wanted to get into real estate. I'm going to get into real estate as kind of like my retirement plan, because, I'm fucked for retirement if this doesn't work out. So I got to think of my future a little bit. So I ended up getting into real estate, and then I had a knack for picking out property and figuring out, what kind of properties are going to work. I was a numbers guy. So I was very aggressive. I understand markets. I understand how they move. And with that, it was just a very easy, I guess, transition into scaling the real estate market, or the real estate portfolio that I had. And then, next thing you know, I'm where I am with the real estate, and it's by far a full-time gig, like by far, I got people running it now. So it's a gig now. It's a thing.
How fast did you move to property management and outsourcing a lot of that work?
Shit, probably took me, let me think, 2008, where are we? Probably 10 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. I the way that I work is I don't just start bringing stuff in. I legit like maximize my own value first. I don't just start like bringing people in because I want to go fuck around on a boat or something. You know what I mean? I don't do that shit. Like I'll work 7 days a week, 16 hours a day before I start bringing people in. But I know people aren't willing to do that. But at the end of the day, that's the way that I do things. But is it the right answer? For me, it's the right answer. Is it the right answer for everybody? Maybe not. But that's also probably why I've been able to build such efficient platforms for everything that I do.
Well, the thing is, you're going to have a solid understanding of what it is that you want out of the person you're going to outsource it to by the time you've done that much time in it yourself.
Yeah, I've done everything myself, right? So I kind of know, to some extent, with the nutritional company and stuff like that, that's like a machine now. So there's certain things that I haven't done at this point in there. I got, 40 something people in there. Right. So it's not the same, but there's all kinds of stuff going on in there that I've never even seen, touched myself personally, right? I've seen it, but never, shouldn't say seen it, but like I've seen it, but I've never actually performed the job or whatever. And I'll go in there once in a while when they have problems or whatever, try to troubleshoot them. But other than that, I don't, I can't fuck with shit like that anymore. Obviously, I got too much going on.
Yeah. So let's talk about that actually, because that's a really fascinating business, right? Where you're obviously bringing in. So you got a product, so you got logistics, you've got obviously inventory to take care of, you've got the manufacturing aspect and operations element of it, and then HR. How did you find it was to get good talent, and like any tips there? Because we're always hiring, right? But it's very difficult from our end. Like, who is the right candidate? How do we really select them? And once we find a great one, how do we multiply those? What characteristics, what traits? And I found that that's been one of our biggest holdbacks. And then the other piece that's held us back in the past on our growing businesses is just the financial element. We've got lots of sales, but we moved really fast and we broke a lot of things. So we were like, hey, we were always driving for revenue, driving for sales. But when you look back at the books and try and clean it all up after, like even in a year, we let one of the businesses go so crazy. It grossed 800 till yesterday, like 891,000 this year. And then we bring in the accountants and they're asking about every transaction since, May. And we're like, God damn it, we should have done better at this. We should have been smarter. So like, how systematic in your approach to growing that business were you? Or did you also take like a move fast and break things approach?
No, like I'll wait till things are about 80% ready, and then I'll put it out there. Or I'll, you know, if something's like like I said, 80% ready. I don't want to. In my world, you can't fuck up that much though, because if you fuck up now, it's regulated. So I got to be careful. I can't just like start doing stupid shit where it's kind of like, let's just fly by the seat of our pants. That's not how like my world works, right? In the stuff that I deal with. I'm very tight with stuff. Like I have to be. I run a very tight ship. I have my buddy who's an accounting partner in his own firm. He runs the books for me. Like, his team runs the books for me. Another one of my buddies is a lawyer. Like, so I run a very tight ship. I run a very tight team. And finding the right people, it's super tough. Sometimes you almost got to just, vet them when they come in.
Yeah.
And I've seen the best people, for face value in interviews just turn out to be the most shit.
Yeah.
And as soon as they start fucking up or they start not doing what you like, you got to cut it loose. There's no reason to continue to, you gotta cut it loose right off the hop. There's no reason to keep them around if they're not fitting the bill. And if they're not fitting the culture that you're trying to build, there's no point in keeping them, right? They just got to go.
So that's another big topic. How much stress do you guys put on culture? Like, is that something you guys really focus on in that business?
Yeah. So I had like a really big issue with culture, probably even up to a couple years ago where, it was negative. People didn't like even working there. And, maybe there was some negative connotations even about me. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm driving all these fucking cars and shit.
Yeah, sure.
And then, people find that kind of as I want a piece of that, right? But you just kind of have to. You can't really rub it in their faces, and you can't really come off as like an egotistical type person because they will take it that way. But I just come from the approach of, listen, man, like I put my dues in, and if you have a problem with that kind of stuff too, and you express that issue, openly, then you got to go too, because I'm not going to let that affect other employees. I try to do everything right by my employees, and if they're not having it, then it's just not the right fit. But culture is very important. It's wildly important, and when people know that they're part of a bigger picture and a bigger, when they're part of something big, or they can see that they're going to be part of something big, they enjoy the process a lot more. And, it's a little bit difficult to explain that when you have people that aren't obviously of the same caliber as you, or operating at the same caliber as you, or they're coming in and they're barely scraping minimum wage or whatever the case is. I don't pay exactly minimum wage, but I'm not like tons of dollars from minimum wage, right? But it's still general labor, right, at the end of the day, for some positions. But having them understand that there's opportunity and not bullshitting, so they can see the company's growing, they can see that they're part of something, they can understand that there is opportunity if they perform. That's when you start landing people. They're part of like a brand that they find is valuable, you know, especially even in the market, you know, you got to understand, like, people are very selfish, right?
Yep.
They're going to want to know that there's somewhere for them in the future, or something for them in the future. And if there's not, why would they want to stick around? So, you know, that's a driving force for me as well, is to make sure that, you know, the families that I feed, you know, have, if they want it, you know, more opportunity.
Yeah.
Or in the, it was, you know, employees, whatever, it doesn't matter. So,
Yeah, I mean, at our companies, we offer quite a bit of incentive for people to want that opportunity. And like we build in, I love actually that you're talking about this because it's interesting, right? Like I don't actually know that many people that have like proper product-based businesses that have scaled them up appropriately.
yeah.
And I think that most of the ones that I do, I don't know that we'd be having this conversation about culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like our positions are mostly like 80% of them are sales positions. And so it's actually really important for us that we have like the perfect culture. Because as you know, like as soon as that culture gets poisoned or people fuck off away from your core values, like you honestly, it's like, it literally is like a cancer that eats away at the productivity of the whole
Yeah.
operation. So it's
Nothing will be perfect
fascinating to
though.
talk about
I
that.
mean, you know what I mean? Nothing will be perfect. So
Yeah.
as long as it's close or relatively close, that's fine.
Yeah, for
Nothing
sure.
will ever be perfect. You know, there's peaks and valleys too. Even now, even though I've, you know, done a really good job building that culture, there's peaks and valleys. Somebody will come in, fuck it up,
Yeah.
or you know, something will happen. It gets fucked up. It is what it is. You try to mitigate the risk on the onset or right away to
Yeah.
snap in the butt, but you know, it is what it is. It's still gonna happen.
Yeah.
We're people, right? Like we're all human at the end of the day. Like, you know, we're gonna get pissed off. We're gonna get depressed. We're gonna get all this other kind of shit. So like, what? Like, if I get like that, what do I expect my employees not to? It ain't gonna happen. So
Yeah.
as long as like people are realistic about that and understand it, then I think that should be fine.
No, that's a great point. Have you guys had any disruptions from like COVID and all this nonsense?
No, no. If anything, we're doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're health driven, right? And right
Yep.
now people are trying to get more healthy. So if anything, yeah, we've done better.
That's
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. Supply
Yeah.
chains are all strong and everything.
Yeah, there's a couple flukes here and there, but yeah, for the
Yeah.
most part, they're all right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's wicked, man.
Okay.
That's so awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned there, the cars and stuff. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of cool to talk about too. Like,
Yeah.
did you buy these? Okay, so there's a couple thoughts here. Like, you probably haven't listened to any of my episodes or necessarily even really follow me, but like one of the things I did for myself this year is I bought like one of my dream watches, which is a Rolex Hulk Submariner. It's like a rare Rolex, right? It's just a special color. They're hard to get. Recently it discontinued and like really popped hard and like doubled in price. But the reason I got it was very intentional. I bought it as a networking piece to talk to other people that would own this watch. I also love the brand itself because of its quality and the various sort of brand power that it brings into a room with it. Now, of course, it's just a watch. Like and literally, if you wanted to tell time, you should just look at your iPhone because they usually gain a minute or lose it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, I was very intentional with this purchase. How did you get into this brand Lambo Lapdog? Is this an intentional thing, or is this like you bought it and then found it, or
Yeah,
what?
no, it wasn't intentional at all. I did not. So before I even bought this thing, my first one, so I had a white Huracan that I bought. Fuck, I don't even know, Dave. How long ago did I buy that thing here? 2017, maybe. Yeah, something like that, maybe. Yeah, so I've had four. So I bought my first one like 2017, and I wanted it. That was it.
Yep.
I wanted it. I was not even on social media at all, not even like personally at all. Like I had kind of like a thing with social media. I've always kind of thought it was a bit whack, the way that people kind of, you know, um, the way people kind of like peacock on there and shit like
Yep.
that. I always thought it was like fucking whack that way. But for the most part, now I'm on there, obviously. And yeah, I mean, I ended up starting I think it was a YouTube channel first. I can't remember if it was Instagram or YouTube first. The reason why I started it was because I have a couple out of town buddies that I was trying to send video to them. And I think like at that point I had like a fucking Android phone or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't have like iMessenger, and I was trying to send it over WhatsApp and it was fucking up. And I ended up starting just getting a YouTube account just because it was easier for me to like put a couple videos up there and show these guys, because Instagram had a limit and all that stuff. And I ended up coming up with Lambo Lapdog because fuck, how did I come up? It was, number one, it was available. Number two, I was like, oh wait a minute, it's available, and it kind of, I guess, makes sense. I'm like a lapdog to my Lambos, so that's kind of how it ended up happening. And I was like, fuck, they're all available, everything's available across platform, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna run with it. So, and a lot of people thought it was kind of catchy, and it's funny, man. Like I'll go shopping, or I'll go to a grocery store, and people just lapdog, and I'm like, the fuck is that? Like I don't know. Yeah. Like sometimes it doesn't even like register, but yeah, people like call me that now. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, that's pretty much the story behind that name. There wasn't like some kind of like hard thought into that. It was just kind of a fluke, really. And it was a fluke in a sense of, yeah, putting something available so that my buddies out of town could like see the cars that were interested in seeing them. That's pretty much it, man.
That's awesome.
I don't have like some kind of wild story.
Any cool wins come out of it?
Like what do you mean wins? Like what do you like?
Anything. So like randomly, again, like I did kind of intentionally buy the watch to get into some better conversations. And then like all of a sudden I'm friends with a few people that hang around like Watchfinder in Toronto, right? In Yorkville. Okay. And then all of a sudden like immediately getting invited to like Rolex and Lambo parties with them. So like you might know Sean from Watchfinder or any of those guys. Anyways, they've got a fucking ton of Lambos. Like it was hilarious, actually. There was like 6 or 7 there, and that's just like their weekenders or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was a cool win, right? Because it was a really fascinating room. There was some huge developers there, like Toronto real estate developers. There was some like really interesting business people there. And again, just because I bought like this stupid watch. So I don't know if you've run into anything like that where you're kind of meeting some more of these interesting people. Like you've got to be fucking interesting to own a $300,000 car. Like that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Okay. I see it. Yeah, I get what you mean by that. So okay. So yeah, I mean, I get invited to a lot of VIP events for Lamborghini and stuff like that, but that's just a factor of owning multiple Lamborghinis, right? They know you're a buyer, and I walk in there and I'm not trying to like, finance the fucking thing or lease the thing. And like, I'm not like a poser, right? So when I walk in there, so like, it kind of, I guess, gives me a little bit of clout with those people up there. They know I'm a serious buyer, but, at the end of the day, they know that I'm, in terms of like interesting people, yeah, for sure, man. Like, I've met some really interesting people, mostly on like Instagram, people hitting me up like, Vin Wiki guy, a couple of these other, influential Damon from Daily Driven Exotics a couple times, the Stradman I've had some, dealings with, or, even potential dealings with, B-Rogue, I got the twin turbo kit from, and that kind of came as a factor of obviously owning the car. And then the Stradman came from that. And before that, it was Daily Driven Exotics that was, potentially going to do some stuff there. But in terms of like really big windfalls, not really. I mean, it's hard to say, right? All of this is obviously probably starting to materialize because of the cars, the real estate courses and all that type of stuff. The brand, obviously, it's from the cars. They get attention. Obviously that's a factor. Yeah. I just really enjoyed owning the cars, and I'm just a car guy. I've got 5 cars, and some of them they're not all exotics. Obviously the 2 are exotics, but the other ones are kind of more, it's funny, like the other ones are kind of even more my style, not like the Lamborghinis, but I got the bike and everything too, which is a lot my style too.
Yeah, I
But
saw the bike. I think I've got the same bike as you. Yours
yeah,
is a lot more tricked out though. You fucking tore yours down the first day you got it.
yeah, I ripped it apart. Yeah, I stripped it for sure. I like the bar hopper kind of bobber style bike, right? Just like dirty and dirty fast and stripped down. I kind of like that look. Almost like it's a 48, it's a Sportster 48,
Yeah.
and I want it to look like, you know, that era, maybe not that era, but like say for if you were to take a 48 and add like 20 years to it, when like, say, the Hells Angels were starting to kind of make an appearance, you know what I mean? So like that kind of look, that's what I like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, it looks badass, dude.
yeah,
Mine's
I
just
kind of
like
like,
matte black, like blacked out, but
yeah, it's like I
I
got
love
some
that.
on it. It's all mostly black, all that stuff. I took the fender on the front off, and I got straight pipes on it, and yeah, some ape hangers on it, stuff like that. Like sick bike, man.
That's
It's
awesome,
awesome.
man.
Yeah, super
So you
aggressive.
brought up there your real estate courses and stuff. What's the plan with that? Where are you trying to go with that? Are you
Yeah,
trying to
so
teach a lot of people or just share sort of your knowledge? What's going on?
yeah, so um, the main driver for that is I feel like there's so much bullshit out in the market about real estate and people owning real estate, and uh the methods that people try to teach other people. I just feel like it's so um almost dangerous sometimes what these people try to get people to do. And and then not only that, you get these guys that they don't even own any fucking real estate, and then they're on there as like a real estate coach, or here buy my program, but I don't even own anything. And
Yeah.
then you got these other guys that might own like a little bit of real estate, and they're coming off as like hey, listen to me, I'm the guru. And I'm just like, man, this is such bullshit what I see out there. And I see it because I watch it. People actually, the majority of this stuff actually comes into me just from like DMs for like links, people like sending me just bullshit from people in the market when they know that I wouldn't agree with what they're saying, or they just know that this guy's full of shit. So it was almost kind of a factor of like clearing the air and providing something like in terms of direction for people from a real life perspective of how I did it. I also feel like it's a little bit interesting too, because I started during a crisis.
Yep.
And we're going through a crisis now. So I think that's kind of a little bit of an interesting play on what I'm doing as well. I'm taking the same principles that I've learned during that and then applying them. I've applied them throughout the entire time, but I'm also applying them now, which is why, I've even been able to buy so much during the pandemic.
Yep.
And why I'm not afraid of getting caught, even if shit does hit the fan. So, that's pretty much the reason. And another reason too is I've never really been a fan of partnerships, but I feel like if I could develop my own circle here of motivated individuals that are like-minded as well, I can end up finding the right people to help scale my portfolios and also their portfolios. So
Yep.
I don't ever want to be in a scenario where I'm only like offering these courses. I'm not a person of relevance. I'm still wildly actively investing in real estate, and I do have a little bit of an unorthodox way of operating businesses, and even the way I go about making real estate decisions. So, even my mindset is a little bit unorthodox. I think people are kind of starting to pick up on that, and I'm getting really good feedback from it, because I don't think the same way as a lot of people. So, I think the way that I think is, I think a lot of the way people do think, they're just too fucking afraid to admit it. So.
Right.
So yeah, and honestly, I want to have fun. That's it. I want to have an epic life. I want to live a fucking epic life, and I want to bring people that I like with me, and that's it. That pretty much sums it up right there.
Fuck,
So
what more can you ask for? That's pretty
yeah,
badass, dude. What's
Yeah.
next?
So that's
What's
pretty
next?
much
Is
it.
that sort of one of your bigger focuses right now, is getting that launched, or like what else is going on?
Like getting the brand launched.
Yeah, like is that sort of is that your next big domino, I guess, is the question, or?
No, so right now I've got the cannabis facility that should be getting licensed like fucking any day now.
Awesome.
I think COVID kind of put a wrench in that in terms of Health Canada running a skeleton crew, but we should be getting licensed any day now. I've got that the cannabis facility. We've got a license in for um, uh, a drug testing laboratory as well. I've got Clearmont Capital, which is a mortgage investment company that I'm running. Synergy Private Label, which does like private label manufacturing for other brands in the market for nutritional products, and then obviously Canadian Protein. And I've got a couple other brands that are like more store brands that I don't really put out there for specific reasons, but
Yep.
and then I've got some property, under contract in the U.S. as well, like large scale real estate. And so the courses that I'm doing are more so almost kind of just to set the record straight, and like I mentioned, to develop that team of people that I may want to leverage down the road, and they might want to take advantage of the systems that I've put in place, to drive wealth their way as well. So
Yep.
that's kind of the end goal, is with the brand, is to kind of produce funnels in all of these different companies and brands that I've built, because a lot of people smoke weed, a lot of people take supplements, a lot of people obviously eat food. I've got meal prep. A lot of people are looking for a more stable investment rather than the stock market, hence Clearmont Capital, which is a mortgage investment company. We've got, it operates the exact same as RSPs, right, with tax-free savings account. You can,
Yep.
I don't know if you know anything about mortgage investment companies, but
Yep. A little
yeah,
bit.
so you can defer, and we're offering 7 to 9% right now, which is a wild return comparatively speaking to say like an RSP, right? So people are always looking for investments, and everybody always needs a roof over the head. So I want to cover a lot of the things that I've done, a lot of the businesses that I wanted to be involved in, were businesses that had like very tall barriers for entry, right? So,
Yep.
the supplement company, we're heavily regulated by Health Canada. The cannabis company, obviously wildly heavily regulated. The mortgage investment company, wildly regulated. Even surprisingly enough, the limo company that I have, that's wildly regulated in terms of the CVOR and DOT and stuff like that. It's not as easy as I actually thought to get into. That was kind of a fluke. I just didn't want to drive my ass around anymore, so I ended up trying to figure out how I can start a business without having to drive myself and still be productive when I had to travel. So that's what I did there. And just I like being involved in businesses that can scale and that have like really tough barriers to break through. Those are the businesses that I like. I don't want to have, I'm not interested in businesses that are like very easily scalable. So, even what I'm doing in the US, it's not easy as a Canadian and stuff like that. It's not the easiest thing in the world. So there's tons of barriers, and I've broken down the barriers, and we're doing it. So is what that's my approach to business.
Fuck yeah, man. You just like hard work. That's all it is.
I'm not afraid of it. I don't like it. I'm just not afraid of it. Right.
God damn, isn't that gonna hurt some people listening to this that thought it was just luck and a bunch of money given to you, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I get those every once in a while. I get those people. Oh, you got an inheritance, and oh, you do this, and yeah, okay, yeah.
Sounds good. I'll see you
on
the end of a 16-hour fucking day when I'm tired of shit.
100%, man. Like I think I made a story like yesterday. When did I make that story, Dave? About I don't remember last time I got home and it was light out.
Yeah.
Like I really don't. Like I really don't remember. Yeah, it was like Friday or some shit. But yeah, I don't remember last time I left and it was light out, and I don't remember last time I got home and it was light out. And
Awesome.
Who's doing that? Nobody does that. And then, but they want what I have, but nobody does it. So
yeah, well, that's why we literally changed our environment so drastically. Like I live with Matt McKeever, my mentor and business partner. Like I live with our head of media and stuff. And obviously, like we just wake up and fucking go from 7 a.m. We work out as a team, and then all night until usually 9 or 10. Like Matt and I both have scheduled calls. Like, and there's no getting out of it. It's in the calendar, man, and we live out of that thing. And you just do it. And then the next day you get up and you do it again. And guess what? It's actually a fucking happy process doing it.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll wrap this up here in a second, but I got a couple more. I think 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
Are you happy?
No.
No. Why not?
Because like what is happiness? Like, I think that's kind of like a bullshit kind of.
Is that just giving up? Happy?
Yeah, I just think it's kind of bullshit. Like I don't think that I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm just happy all the time. No, like I'm not. You know what I mean? Like what is that? Like what is that term? Like for real, right? Yeah. Like I'm just happy. Like what all the time? Like
no. When you wake up, do you enjoy doing what you do? I guess.
No,
I don't. As a loose definition.
No, I don't actually. It's tough. Good. What I do. What I do is fucking tough. I like the outcome, but I don't like doing it. Same thing with the workouts.
Yeah,
I don't like working out.
You gotta do it.
I'd rather sit there. I'd rather sit on the couch eating a Big Mac. It's easier, right? Like I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Like I just get out of bed and I'm just like, oh fuck, I'm just gonna like go kill today. No, I like that ain't me, man. I mean, like I'm not gonna like, and that's what I think is hilarious with people, man. I think people are just so full of fucking shit. Like, I just think the majority of like 99.9% of the people out there are just so full of shit, and it makes me sick. Like, and then what ends up happening is people look at these fake ass motherfuckers on Instagram and all this shit. And then they're like, oh, you know, like, you go kill your day and go do this and go do that. And then the guy that's having a rough go, you know, he doesn't feel the same way, and it makes him even more feel like shit. So I think it's all kind of, I think it's whack, man. Like, I think it's phony. And I think people need to start being a little bit more real with themselves. And so, yeah, to answer your question, am I happy? No, not necessarily. Am I happy sometimes? Yeah. Am I, fucked up sometimes? Yeah. Am I sad? Am I depressed? Yeah, for sure. I'm just like anybody else. I'm not like perpetually happy. You know what I mean? But what the difference with me is when I'm sad, when I'm fucking depressed, when I'm, fucked up in my head or whatever, I still go and do shit. Yeah. That's the difference.
That's the key. Right? That's the
answer. I don't have to be happy. I don't have to be, I don't have to be any of those things. I just keep going. If I want to go here, that doesn't happen. Like, that doesn't stop me. Maybe if I'm like all fucked up one day, I might kind of like, take me off a little bit, but I'm still heading in the right direction. So am I happy just as a blanket statement? No.
Perfect. Well, that's great, man. Cause I actually fucking love that answer, because it makes it that much more, like realistically admirable that you're going to get up, go after it, and go fucking get the work done. Like, that's just realistically what has to happen. I think it's actually funny too. I agree with you. I think we're all very comfortable right now. I've been doing a lot of, just for fun, sometimes I go back, and there's a podcast I'm on to right now. It's Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, and it really breaks out like some of the crazy shit, right? Like World War I in the Pacific War theater, World War II getting into Europe, and still in the Pacific a bit, and some of the different challenges that those people faced. And like, they had some fucking hard shit to do, and they still got up every day and they did it. For the most part, I don't think they would have changed their minds on whether they would do it again. I think they would. So really interesting, man. So I love that perspective. And then I guess just a last question then, because I know we both got shit to do today, but do you have a specific why? Is there a target, or is this just a process? We just like doing it.
Oh boy. So, man, I get this question a lot, so for me, man, how deep you want to get here?
Yeah, let's go, man. Let's go, because I got the time if you want to go deep. And
yeah, that's fine.
the interesting thing for me, and the reason I ask this from some people, especially people that I don't actually know well, is because again, this is the second time we've even seen each other. But the reason I ask is because I get so fucked up on this answer, right? Like I literally, it's such a moving fucking stupid target. And like all the things I thought were truly motivating me are actually just bullshit that I think I bought into, maybe from hearing. So like initially I thought it was about creating a great, reservoir of money for like my family and stuff like that, and changing their lives financially and all this other shit. And I can tell you that's not the truth, right? Like that's some shit that I would say to somebody, but it wasn't real, right? And I figured that out along the way, and it's really changed. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go deep, let's hear it.
Maybe I don't have to get too deep, but okay. So this is my perspective. Like, okay, so as much money as I'll ever have or whatever, obviously money in life and it isn't the be all end all. And you can. That's why some billionaires and multimillionaires and 100 millionaires or whatever. That's why a lot of them just they off themselves sometimes because they're like so fucked up that they thought maybe they would have all of this and that would make them happy, but they're not. Now, maybe you can argue that they're weak-minded people or whatever, but at the end of the day, I do realize that money and success and all that stuff isn't the most important things in life. And they're not the most important things for me in life. I found like, helping people and leveraging my experience and doing these kind of things actually is making my days more enjoyable. I feel like that's the proper question, is not like, hey, are you happy? Like, are you enjoying yourself? Right.
Yeah.
But yes, is this making me more like enjoy coming in? Yeah, this is more enjoyable for me because number one, people love to be recognized for what they're doing, and I'm no fucking different. Okay. And number two, helping people, especially based off your experience, makes people feel good. Okay. Makes me feel good, makes the other people feel good. So I feel like I'm doing, a positive thing I'm giving out something positive to the world. Right. But the problem that I see when people ask me these questions is like, hey, well, what's your bigger picture? And I want to know, I need to find out what I'm, I want to be successful, but I want to be passionate about what I'm doing. And I need to find the passion or something passionate to do or whatever the case is. And that's why I'm like, fuck that, man. Go after the money and success and fuck your why. Like for real. Like I'm not even joking. Like fuck all that shit. Because in the end, that's what you want. Like, so when someone asks me, hey, Dan, like, how do I find like my bigger picture, or like how you explain it, like your why or whatever that is, or I don't know how else to explain it, but like your whatever, right? The greater thing that you're trying to do. And I'm like, well, why do you want that? Like, why are you trying to find that out? And they're like, oh, because it always comes out. Well, because if I find that, the success and money will just come. So I'm like, well, fuck it then. Just go after the success and money and fuck your why.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want. You want the fucking car. You want that fucking thing sitting on my shelf right there. You know what I mean? So what the fuck are you trying to like chase right now? Like just stop chasing that and go after the money and go after the success. And when you're in a place that can actually leverage what you've built in order to really impose real change, well, then that's when you'll be ready to like start asking yourself, well, hey, right now my life feels a little empty. These are the things that I think I feel empty in. This is what I feel like I want out of life. And you'll probably have the resources to fucking go get it. But why are you going to stunt your growth, your success, your wealth? Because why? Because chase out there that you'll probably fucking never chase ever or find ever. Like, I don't know. I haven't chased it and I'm totally fine with it. I don't care. Like, or I haven't found it. Like maybe say helping people and, leveraging my experience and all that type of shit and bringing people along, you know, this journey with me is really helping me enjoy myself and helping other people. And maybe to say that is my why. But what fucking happens in 2 years and that shit changes? So what? I've wasted 2 years of my life trying to figure it out. Fuck that, man. I ain't interested in that. I just feel like it's going to slow people down. So fuck it. Go after what you want in life. If that's money, that's the cars, that's the success. Fuck it, man. I don't know why that shit's so taboo. I fucking can't stand it. I can't stand that.
If you only listen to one episode of this podcast ever, I'd invite you to go and listen to episode number 1. Where we had a lengthy discussion, I think, on this topic, right? About like, what the fuck is everybody talking about? Just go and do the work, and like everything else comes with that. So
yeah, for sure, man. Like I didn't go into this trying to like find some kind of philosophical bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I wanted certain things from my life, and you know, I worked for it, and I ended up getting it, and I feel like if I was trying to find that all the time, I'd even be more fucked up. You know what I mean? We're all fucked up, right, in our head. I'd be even more fucked up because like now you're trying to find some shit that you don't even know. Like think about how hard that is. Think about like, hey, Adam, go find the meaning of life.
Yeah, what's
like,
the meaning of life?
What the fuck is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like nobody knows. I don't give a fuck who you are. Nobody knows what the meaning of life is. And you know what? You know what the meaning of life is? I truly believe living to your full potential and helping as many people do the same along the way. There you go. So that's what I'm trying to do. You want to call it my why, whatever. But you know what? At the end of the day, in 2 fucking years, that might change. Maybe I have a different why. So I'm not going to try to like chase some bullshit. I'm just going to try to do right by myself and live to my full potential. And I'm going to do whatever I can to bring the people around me that deserve it to do the same. Done. I'm not interested in trying to philosophically indoctrinate people into, hey, you have to have a bigger picture. You have to have you have to find your why or whatever. No, man, I ain't interested in that. Like everybody wants the money. Everybody wants the success. So fucking give it to them. Go after it. Go after that, man. If that's what motivates you, by more power to you. Go fucking get it. And at the end of the day, if you can find your why with, you know, before even starting all this bullshit, and you can help people without actually building the wherewithal first, and being able to, you know, impact change without all of that other stuff, more power to you too. I can't fucking do it. I didn't do it that way. This is how I did it, and it's working for me. And I can guarantee you the majority of people that you talk to and you come across in the world, I promise you, if you fucking put that carrot in front of their face, they're going to be much more productive. They're going to be much more inept to chase their goals and accomplish them and achieve success in their life, rather than you telling them, saying, hey, go find out what your why is and then start whatever you want to do or whatever. No, man, no. That's not, I think that's the wrong way of thinking about it. I think, at least for me, man, and I know that's a controversial kind of thing where I tell people, fuck the bigger picture and go after the money and the success or whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck, because that's what I feel that is a very, very big driver for people. And the people that are telling other people that that's not the case are people that are already in the position to be able to say it. And they've already got the money and they've already got the success. And I promise you, those people in the beginning didn't even fucking know what their why was. So who are they to say that to someone else? That's my opinion.
Dude, that's so badass. Well, on that note, guys, I don't think we're going to get any fucking better than that. So thanks again, Dan, for coming in. And everybody, that was episode 9 of Mic'd Up Millionaires with Dan Crosby, the Lambo Lapdog. If you guys are interested in real estate, go check him out for some of those courses. Obviously, the dude's a fucking badass, and you know, just based on this discussion, that he's going to be putting his best into those courses. I can tell Dan's very passionate and obviously hardworking, so I don't think he's going to be skipping any steps there. And it sounds like he might give you the real, right? I don't think Dan's fucking around and trying to sell you any smoking guns. So
that's all I know how to bring, man. I know how to bring what's real. That's it.
I love it, dude. Well, thank you so much, Dan. We're going to end this recording here, and I'll just stick on with you here for 3 more seconds just to get a couple pieces of info off you. But thanks
For
so
sure.
much.
Thanks, boy.